Mandera, and although I come from Mandera South, I realized I had underrated the level of poverty amongst the people when I was not a politician and when I was not an elected member. So when we were doing campaigns and we were going into the grassroots and villages and talking to different stakeholders, I realized actually the level of poverty in that constituency is underrated. And I think runaway poverty is one issue that is going to be a priority for me. And then there is the question of cyclic drought. We were campaigning at a time when that region has faced 4 years of lack of rainfall. And actually, if you look at the voter turnout in that part of the world, it was very low because most of the voters were, they had shifted to other countries, including Somalia and Ethiopia, looking for pasture water. So we had very, very low turnout. So the cyclic drought and the impact it is having on our people is an issue that is going to be a priority for me. Of course, coming from a region which is along the Kenya-Somalia border, the question of insecurity, especially the Al-Shabaab menace, is a big question that has hindered development in that area, which makes my agenda actually quite large. And of course, we have a very young population, just like the rest of the country. We have a bulging youth population, which I consider to be, if the question around youth empowerment and youth joblessness and youth education is not addressed, then I consider it to be a ticking time bomb, not just for Mandera, but also for the nation at large. I have realized there was a big leadership vacuum, which I'm supposed to fill. There was sort of absentee leadership in the last 5 years. And of course, there is the question of broken promises. Everywhere I went to campaign, people are talking about, promises that were never fulfilled, and they were asking whether I'll be any different. And of course, as a legislator, I will also be able to focus on the national legislative agenda, especially now that we are in a very critical transition period in this country. A lot of, I don't want to call it wrangling, but there's a lot of competition even at the national level between different coalition parties and the legislative agenda. For those who want to, everybody having different approach towards the development agenda, the economic, empowerment question. And for my region, I think I would be very much concerned with issues at the national level and legislative agenda that will be able to help livestock farmers. And one of the areas that will be of key importance to me, which I think I will be able to work out on a bill, is the question of livestock insurance. Because as I had hinted earlier, we are going through a 4 season of lack of rainfall, and a lot of livestock have died. And a pastoralist don't have money in the banks. Their money is working on foot, their livestock. They've invested everything in livestock, and if these livestock die and they're not compensated, then it's very difficult for such a person to recoup again back to his earlier status. So there's quite a lot of issues, but my main focus will be around how to empower the bulging youth population, how to empower the women and especially small businesses, and how to tackle the question of cyclic drought, particularly as a result of climate change and issues around drought and lack of rainfall.
Yeah, and